Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all.
Hey guys.
This is April.
And this is Caroline.
And we are here.
We are here with our beverages.
It is Thirsty Thursday, and I am so thirsty.
I'm so thirsty too.
And I drink my water all day.
Oh,
just prepping.
You are
I feel
so
like I was filtering,
responsible.
Filtering my liver for right now.
Well, I'm actually very proud of you because that's a very responsible thing to do, and I didn't. But I've coached my liver very well, so it knows
it's a pro.
What to expect.
And your check liver light will just come on when you need to give it a little bit more attention.
Yes.
Yay! So it's happy hour, and it's a little bloody today.
It is. And first, what are we drinking?
Well,
and what are we doing?
It's always our go-to.
What is that?
I feel like this is like our reunion drink. Like if I'm ever hanging out with Caroline or any of our former coworkers, we are drinking some Deep Eddies.
Deep Eddies. We are deep in Eddie.
You act
maybe
deep, real deep.
Real deep in Eddie.
She has lime and I have some lemon.
Oh, lemon and lime. Look at us. We are already perfect for each other. Yeah, either way, it's going to be vodka. Except for that one time when it was whiskey. So never mind.
So episode 1, I think they need to know what Bloody Hours. Bloody
Hours?
Bloody Happy Hour is going to look like.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to be hooked.
If they're not hooked already, I'm pissed.
I mean, they can't be. It's episode 1, remember?
Yeah, but we're already so great, I think. But,
okay.
You know, I think
they already pressed subscribe.
For sure.
So it's going to look like weekly episodes.
Every Thursday.
When you're really thirsty.
Yes.
It's like Taco Tuesday, Thirsty Thursday. They're very important days of the week.
Oh, probably the most important.
The most. And these episodes will drop. And all you got to do is click and listen. And it'll be every Thursday. But some weeks it may be like a quickie, right? So
yes.
Episodes will be about an hour, but we may have a quickie episode and it'll be just as juicy, but it's a quickie. Sometimes those are the best.
Sometimes those are the best.
And then we will trade out. So today I'm telling you an amazing story, but next week it's Caroline's turn.
And we'll go a little bit, talking at the beginning of each episode because we have to update you on our live. And if you don't want to hear about it, then that's fine. Be rude and just skip ahead, but stay here. Fast forward.
Because we guarantee when we get to the story, it's a great story.
So I have this, car that I drive. Do you have a car you drive? And the little hatchback thing, you're supposed to push a button and it opens up.
Yeah.
Well,
she has a station wagon. That's what she said.
I have a station wagon that I started driving.
Not really.
And
I wouldn't be a friend.
Sometimes it doesn't open. Like you push it and it's like beep, and it does not open, which is confusing. But so then I got to go open it. Well, I was taking out my weights out of the back of my car because I'm so fit, and I was taking the weights out because I was driving, whatever. So it didn't open all the way. So I'm like leaning in there to grab the weights to pull them out, and then I am exiting, and I hit my head really hard on the little hatchback because it didn't fully open all the way. So I may have concussion symptoms.
Oh, traumatic brain injury.
I may be in concussion protocol right now. Just so you know.
Okay. I'll watch your eyes.
So if I have slurred speech, it's because of that. Not because of the deep eddies. That's where this whole story has a point.
Yeah.
I came full circle.
Okay.
You see how I put that
Yeah.
together?
So she's justifying her slurring right now
Basically, that's what that was.
from a traumatic brain injury that she got right before she walked in.
Yes.
So should we tell them where we are recording from?
Sure.
Waco.
What's up, Waco, Texas?
Waco, Texas.
Who doesn't
I think
love
there's other
Waco?
Waco, so I don't want them to be confused.
Oh.
Waco, Texas.
There's-
We have been famous for what? What have we been famous for?
Let's see. The Branch Davidians,
Yes.
David Koresh.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen was it Netflix series Waco?
Yes.
That would be us.
I think my brother was named after him, but go ahead.
I wouldn't be surprised. And we have the Baylor thing. I don't know if that's that big.
Baylor, period.
I mean, Baylor.
On and off, Baylor's had some good.
Well, national champions. Hello, Baylor basketball.
Yes.
We have that.
Yes.
We have Magnolia. What else happens here in Waco?
I think that's it. And then there's us. I mean,
And then there's us. So we're like next on the list.
yeah. I mean, I feel like.
Besides the Lake Waco murders.
Oh, yes.
How could we forget?
So we
I
have
feel like-
outside lives.
Yeah,
What
we
do you
do.
do besides podcasting?
Well, the list is long.
She's real busy. She is
Let's
a
see.
joke.
Let me just see what
She's a
I've
jack of all
dabbed
trades.
my toe in. Is that how you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, dip my toe in the water of... Okay, anyways. I've talked about my feet twice now, so let's not do that again. But I did get a pedicure. Anyway, so I'm a substitute teacher. I'm a trainer. I sometimes do Uber Eats deliveries.
What?
Yes! Postmates and Uber Eats.
But your real passion is dogs.
And I dog sit and I house sit. But you know what's great about this house sitting thing is like I'll watch the dogs, but then sometimes I'll stay at the houses and I got some nice houses I'm staying at. So, and they let me bring my dogs over there too. So I'm like, I got a whole pool situation. I got a big old house. I get it. I mean, it's great. It's a great gig.
It's a great gig.
And I walk dogs. I don't know. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of my other things that I do,
Yeah,
but
it'll come.
I babysit.
I do not condone that one.
But let me tell you, when I babysit, it's only for one person with their two kids who, when I get there, basically it's
They're
bedtime
sleeping.
and they go
Okay.
to sleep. And so I'm just sitting there watching TV. So it's easy.
Nice.
I don't do anything else though, except, do I? No.
I mean, and now you're a podcaster. And you're about to be real famous.
And yes, I always tell my campers, because I teach boot camp, and I always tell my campers, these are the 5 things that I want to be. I want to be a podcaster and a backup dancer and this and a this and a this.
Wait, you're a famous TikToker.
And I'm a famous TikToker. I did TikTok all summer last summer because I was training 2 girls in high school. And we had some famous videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about that, you can go follow me on the TikTok.
Click it. Click the follow.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And apparently I have OnlyFans, but I really don't. So bye.
Yeah, not really. So I'm not as interesting as Caroline,
Sure
but
you
I
are.
am in the education field and I love me some special education. So any special educators out there, I have lived your life, or I am living your life. And that is why Thirsty Thursday is so important. But we met because me and Caroline were both trainers together. We both taught boot camp early mornings, in the evenings,
Early.
took over our lives. And it actually is going to connect to a story that we're going to cover later on. But we are going to bring in some of our fellow trainers because you got to have at least 3 to 4 of us to really talk about this story. So stay tuned. But it is a story about a boot camp trainer that was murdered.
And it is unsolved.
It
And
is
you know
still
I feel like-
unsolved.
we will do a podcast that will lead to it being solved.
Hopefully. That is
Yes.
our whole reason to do this.
We're going to get Payne Lindsay in here.
Come on, Payne.
Come on, Payne. Come on here.
So, we bonded over a lot of things. Deep Eddies being one, or just any alcohol.
Yeah.
But also, we'll talk about a lot in the podcast is Caroline is now divorced, but was formerly married to somebody that the first time I met him, I called him Ted Bundy.
100% true.
However, he didn't decapitate anybody. Like, he didn't murder anybody. So let's put that on the table. But he had his aura. Like, he was the less violent, reincarnated version of Ted Bundy because he's good looking. He was smooth. He was a compulsive liar. He was a narcissist, and he did nothing wrong. But now they're divorced.
He would be a totally different person to my friends and versus to me.
Yes.
So I didn't see any of it.
Yes. Yeah. So I made Caroline start listening to these true crime podcasts because I felt like she would see the monster in her husband if she heard about it all the time. So then she became obsessed.
It's true.
And we're here.
And here we are.
Yay! It really was my way to sucker her in to be my co-host. And mission accomplished.
Planned out.
Love it.
What a great planner you are.
So, can I tell you guys, your first story, it would not be right if we didn't bring you a local murderer.
It wouldn't. I'd be upset.
It just wouldn't be right.
No.
And when I say local, I'm not talking about just Texas. I'm talking about right here in the zip code.
Like he got people left off I-35 up in Waco.
Yes. He's a Central Texas boy. They call him the bad boy from Rosebud. And his name is Kenneth McDuff. Sidebar, I have a brother named Kenneth.
Because, she does have brothers who are all named after famous serial killers.
Or infamous. I mean, I probably said famous in the trailer.
Whatever.
Because they're kind of famous to me, but
it just so happened that she got into true crime and she was like, oh my gosh, all my brothers have the same names as these people I'm reading about. And why am I just April? Who's the April serial killer?
Why in the hell ain't I Eileen?
I mean, you should have been Eileen, or maybe you're the serial killer. I don't know. I feel like you wouldn't be, but
maybe there's an April out there. All the Aprils, if you got a little serial killer game, I cannot wait until you are founded.
I mean,
but I will say I was in 5th grade when I realized my brother, I have a Jeffrey, I have a Kenny, and I have a David. Jeffrey, Kenneth, and David. So you just play with all those serial killer names if you want to. So little Kenneth here, McDuff, he's often referred to as Mac. We both have little speech problems, so I mean, English teachers out there, you're probably going to hate us.
No, this is me. She said return. Okay, bye.
So he is from a little town called Rosebud, which is literally next door to us. And he was born on March 21st in 1942. So he was old. And he lived on this street called Linden Street. So if you're a person like me, I always think addresses and names of places are important because I like to travel to their houses. So if you're like me, his address was 201 Linden Street. He was not an only child because we will have a lot of those. And they turn up in the podcast.
I'm just going to tell you, my ex-husband's only child.
And he was the 5th of 6 children. So he was not from a horrible family. Like there was no signs of abuse. They were a little ratchet, I guess we would say now, but they weren't, they had money, but not a ton of money, but they weren't white trash. And they were really known in the community. So his dad owned construction businesses and his mom, they owned like the laundromat there. And I think there was only one. So everybody who didn't have a washer and dryer used the McDuff's laundromat. And that is still there because I've been there too. Yes, I've been to his house.
Of course you have. I'm not surprised.
I mean, every time you go through Rosebud, what you do is you just take a left on Main Street and it's right there in between a church that they belong to and a elementary school.
Well, I guess I better take a trip. I mean, I was in Killeen and I thought about Vanessa Gillian.
Ooh, yes. Drive by there. So he was a very tall guy. Like he was like 6'7" and kind of lean.
Like Ed Kemper tall?
Yeah.
I mean, he was like what?
He wasn't like as husky as Ed Kemper, but he was tall. And he was a bully as hell. Bully like hell. So he bullied everybody, but of course the weaker. Until one day he ran upon a kid named Tommy. And Tommy wasn't playing. Tommy was an athlete, and he wasn't going to let Ken bully him. So Tommy whooped his ass in front of everybody.
Hell yeah.
And because Kenneth, we will find, is actually a coward, he quit school. He quit school. Like he couldn't show his face anymore, or he was that scared. So he was basically an 8th grade dropout. But by the time he was 18, he had been convicted of 12 counts of burglary. So when he quit school, he worked for his dad's construction business and mowed lawns, but he started like getting into some shit. And 12 counts of a burglary or attempted burglary, but he got caught. So then he was sentenced to 12 4-year terms, and those were to be served consecutively. But guess what? That turned into 5 years. So 5 years later, after he turned 18, so it's about 1965 down by now, he was out and he was working for Daddy. Now, him and his daddy didn't have a great relationship, but they spoiled the hell out of him. His mom, though, thought he could do no wrong. So Mama was referred to as pistol packing Mama.
Oh, no.
She would come up to the school with guns. She stopped the bus driver for kicking him off the bus, held a gun on him. Like she was would kick ass behind her kids.
Oh, but that's never a good sign.
Especially when the kids were wrong. So according to her, Kenneth could never do no wrong.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, listen, there's a lot of similarities in these stories to my ex situation. So
he was paroled, right? So by 1966, he was working for his dad, and he friended this guy named Roy Dale Green. And side note, my best friend Erica's uncle was real good friends with Roy Dale Green. That's why I love Waco Town stories, because so many connections. Okay, so he was from Marlin, and they worked together with the construction business.
Well, he has 3 names, so I already know this is good.
I mean, that's a legit name. Roy Dale Green. So this was August 6th, right? And they just got off, and they were looking for something to do. So they decided to get off work, shower. They went by 7-Eleven because those are back, but they were gone for a long time, but they were in back then. And they got some Schlitz malt liquor beer. Oh, that is the worst.
I can't.
And they hit the road, I-35, to Funky Town, also known as Fort Worth. And they didn't make it all the way to Fort Worth because they stopped in this little town called Everman.
Oh, I thought you were going to say West.
No.
They didn't get kolaches today. No, they didn't.
No, they were in Everman. And I guess back then, like when you backroaded, you would go near the local high school because that's where just people hung out. So they were looking for people, and they found a car that was parked, lights off, engine turned off.
Lover's Lane situation.
They were at the high school. Like there was like high school and then the baseball field. So they were in that area.
There were so many Lover's Lane situations back in the day. Like what's this Lover's Lane? People still do that? I don't know. I don't.
Well, I mean, we have Lover's Lane.
I would love to be invited to Lover's Lane.
If there's a Lover's Lane, please send Caroline an invite. She just wants to see what it's about.
To Lover's Lane. Sweep me away into this.
To Lover's Lane.
And that's not okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I don't want to go to Lover's. Because you
sounds
like you go
sus.
do a little drive by the lake and you park and then you're like just making out in the car and then you get murdered. That's what all these kids would do.
Yes.
But I don't want to get murdered, so I'm too big to put in the trunk anyway. So anyways, continue.
Okay. So that is kind of really what happens this night when he runs into these kids. But it's 2 guys and it's 1 girl.
Oh.
Robert. Robert.
You know what that's really going on.
These are high school kids. Robert and his his cousin Marcus, who was visiting from California.
2 girls, 1 cup. No, what?
And then a girl named
Sue.
Sullivan. Oh, no. Her last name was Sullivan.
Okay, well, that's
her name was Edna, but they called her Louise. And it was supposed to be a double date. Okay, so there's supposed to be a girl named Rhonda with them. But Rhonda said, I'm not feeling good. And she stayed at home.
She had to do her hair.
She had to wash her hair.
She had to wash her hair. She
actually faked ill and she stayed at home. And thank God she did. Because when Kenneth saw them, he grabbed his gun. His brother's gun was in his car.
Probably his mom's gun that she used to attack the school bus.
Mama gave it to Brother Lonnie and Lonnie gave it to Kenneth. Kenneth told Roy to grab the stick that was in the back seat. The stick was like this broomstick. It was like 3.5 feet long and it was shitty and crappy and jagged.
A broomstick.
It's a broomstick.
From a broom with straw.
But there's no broom on there. It was just like the stick, the wooden stick.
Yeah.
These murders are also known as the broomstick murders.
Oh, I can only imagine what.
He goes up to the car and he tells them, "Get out or I'm going to shoot you."
With my
broomstick. And
broomstick.
Roy is just not. He's just thinking this is still a joke.
Is he
so
a little
he's kind of waiting
he a little
for
sus? He a little slow?
He's a little something.
Okay.
Or he's faking it.
He could.
But I think he was real, as innocent as they proclaim him to be. So all the kids got out. He puts them all in the trunk of their own car. And he drives their car and he tells Roy, "Get in my car and follow me." And they go down these dirt roads because they're not all the way in Funky Town. It's still like a little country rural area. Go down these dirt roads, miles and miles and miles. And when he gets out, he grabs that gun and he shoots Robert 3 times in the head, in the face, and somewhere else.
In the butt.
No.
In the.
And then he
femur.
shoots Marcus 3 times. In that last shot, he holds him up by his hair like he's like an animal and shoots him in the head.
Oh, because he's like a really tall guy.
He's really tall.
He's
and they're in the trunk. So he's like doing this over the trunk.
First of all, I want to know how big these other people are because how can they all fit in the trunk?
I mean, they're just high schoolers. And these are bigger cars back then. Like this is the 60s.
Oh, like a
this
station wagon like I drive?
I don't know. It could be.
Well, I guess if you did have a Lincoln, one of those, my mom used to drive a stinking Lincoln. They always called it. I don't know why it was stinking, but it was real big, real long.
This was a Ford, and I never found like the type that it was, but so he shot them, and he took Louise and gave her to Roy and told Roy to put them in their trunk.
And Roy's like, I don't know, because
Roy's
I didn't know
just
this
like
was
I did not know. It got real to Roy when he saw Kenneth shooting the kids, right?
Yeah.
And then with every shot, he got more and more excited.
Which one? Roy or
Kenneth?
Kenneth. Oh, no.
Every shot, he got more and more excited. So he unloaded the full clip, which is 6 shots, 3 for each. And then they back up the car. They don't even close the trunk because they can't close the trunk because their bodies are hanging out. Backs up the car in the brush and they take off 11 more miles down the road. So now they're just in Kenneth's car. Luis is now in the back seat. He orders Roy to drive while he rapes Edna Louise in the back seat.
Oh.
And she's screaming. And he's fearing for his life, Roy. And she's screaming. So then he's done. And he orders Roy to get back there and do the same. Because now you can be my accomplice in case something goes down. He's making sure that Roy's not going to tell on him, right? So Roy's in the back and he's not about this life. So he can barely even get up.
That's what I was going to say. Like, how can you, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. How can you rape somebody if you don't get it up? You know,
yeah.
like.
So it ends up happening. And, but that doesn't satisfy. Roy's just thinking, let me keep her away from him, is what he says.
Oh.
So Kenneth is not done. He just needed a break. So then Roy gets out from the back seat. He goes back there and he rapes her again. And now with the broomstick, he sodomizes her with the broomstick. Yes. So this poor girl thought she was going on a date.
Why do you need to, like, what?
So remember, he did a lot of prison time.
Oh.
Yes.
So he's projecting his anger from what happened to him.
Well, I don't know if he's low-key gay or prison gay, but he cannot get off unless something anally happens.
Oh, he puts
like
it
he's
in
a
her
sadist.
Anus.
Yes. Yeah, like he's a sexual sadist. And
I
he
thought
only
he put it in her
likes
other
sex everywhere. He put it everywhere. He put it everywhere. And the only thing Roy remembers her saying is, "Stop, please. I think you ripped something." So he finishes with that. He makes her get dressed and get out. So they're still parked on this road. She's getting out and she's in the brush on the ground. And she's tied up. I don't know if I said that, but that's one of his things is he ties up all the women. So he has her tied up and Roy was like, "Let's leave her here and let's just go." And he's like, "No, I'm not done." He grabs that broomstick and he crushes her throat with it until she's not breathing anymore. And then just chunks her body over the fence.
Okay.
When he chunks her body, he sees her necklace and he rips off her necklace and puts it in his pocket.
Oh, because he's going to keep it as a trophy.
It's a trophy. Dick. So they leave. I mean, Kenneth, this is a thing about Kenneth is he is the most notorious and sadistic, but people don't really talk about him.
People don't. I don't hear any podcasts about him ever. Yeah. Which is, I'm like, he was a big deal. Like he was a bad guy
he definitely flies under the radar.
Which
and
I think why.
I don't know. I think because his numbers weren't that big. His actual conviction numbers weren't that big. And Texas ought to be pretty shame because you'll hear in a minute of how he, just was the luckiest man. I feel like.
Okay, so he killed at least 3 people.
3 today. On the broomstick.
Okay, with the broomstick, but then
there's some more.
The eyeball killer, he only did 3 too, and he's more talked about.
Yeah.
Is it because he stole eyeballs?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Anyhow.
So they leave her there and he makes Roy try to help wipe away any evidence in the other car, wipe away tire tracks. He's smart by this time because he's been caught. He's done prison time. And so when on their way back home, they stop in Hillsboro to get a Coke because he's thirsty.
Oh, look, go ahead because you're worn out and you're tired and you need a drink.
A Coca-Cola.
Go get you a Coca-Cola.
And so when they get back to Marlin, they spend the night at...
I love how they stop in Hillsboro.
And...
I feel like it's my road trip I've been going on.
Hillsboro is before Waco, going north, Dallas.
Right before you get to West.
Then you get to West, then you get to Waco, and then you'll go through Waco and get to Marlin, and that's where Roy Dale Green lived. And they spent the night at Roy's house, slept in the same bed,
in the same,
I know.
Bed?
I'm pretty sure they were booty buddies.
Mm-hmm. Situation.
Roy Dale was just this weak, meek, and that was the people the type of person that he targeted.
Yep.
So it didn't last long because Roy was genuinely sad and he felt guilty for what happened. So Kenneth McDuff, that next morning, they buried the gun that they shot him with, right, by the garage. Yeah. They cleaned out his car. And then he had a date with a girl named Joanne. Oh, Joanne, I would love to hear from you or your family. Like, how do you feel being the girl named in the book that went on the date with Kenneth McDuff the night after he committed the broomstick
Joanne,
murders?
email us at bloodyhappyhour@gmail.com and let us know.
Or her kids, because she might.
Or
this is
Joanne,
old,
or your kids, or your grandkids. Surely they know.
So when Roy saw it hit the news, he broke down and he confessed. And he
Poor
ended up
Roy.
testifying against Kenneth McDuff, and he was tried and he was sent to jail.
Well,
Roy only did 13 years. At first, he was deemed like a sadistic killer, but then they soon found out that it wasn't him. Kenneth McDuff was the mastermind. So here is where it gets crazy.
oh,
Roy's in
hell.
jail, right?
Mhm.
Kenneth McDuff gets convicted and he gets sentenced to death.
Good.
And back then, it's the electric chair.
Yes.
Okay?
Shock him. Shock him up, babe.
Do it.
Get him.
Do it. Texas justice system, right?
Yes.
Except for
He gets off and
we're
paroled. Let me guess.
crowded.
Oh, I'm shocked.
So they start letting inmates out. Like if you're white collar inmates, like small
if you
misdemeanor
sweep
inmates,
the floor correctly, great.
then you get to get out.
If you don't slit anybody's throat while you're in there.
Then the death penalty was deemed inappropriate.
And then it got like reduced.
Yeah. I mean, he had like multiple, like he was going to die twice in 1969. He came within days of getting killed. And then in 1970 again, but he never got killed. Do you know how much power that gave him in his head? And then his sentence was commuted to life, but not life without the possibility of parole.
Because those lives that you stole meant nothing.
Nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So when he finds out he has life, they hire this big, badass, hotshot lawyer, which he had to have changed his name and leave. His name is Gary Jackson.
Gary Jackson, where you at?
I hope you're not black, Gary Jackson.
Gary.
I don't know.
Yes, I think I'm related to Jerry Jackson.
I hope you're not black, Gary, because this man was a big racist too. But so Gary was on this case.
Can you tell them that you're black?
Oh yeah, I'm black. I'm half.
And I think I am too.
We think Caroline
I'm
is
pretty
too.
sure. Even though Ancestry.com told me I'm not, I'm pissed about it.
I think
Because
her
there's no
dad
way.
probably changed the results. Sorry, Billy.
Sorry, Billy.
I think he was
Tell
probably
Dee Dee
covering
because
his
she's
track.
probably listening.
Sorry, Dee Dee.
So, Dee Dee, tell my dad.
Oh, she's listening. What's your mama's name though?
Mosey.
Who?
Mosey.
Mosey. I'm sorry.
She really only listens to like Fox News and all the Republican podcasts.
She shared our page and she was like, if
She
y'all like
did.
this true crime crap, then listen. It is not crap.
It's not. It's amazing.
It is pretty legit.
Insane.
So this lawyer like works. I mean, he does his job, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean, I have a
he-
different. We know somebody who's a defense attorney,
Yeah.
and they are not liked people.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him because I don't know about who he defends, but
Yeah. I mean, he
that's
does
just
his
the
job.
role. Yeah, that's your job. So
he makes up this story about Roy Dale Green actually being the killer. And so every time
course he does.
Kenneth McDuff goes up to parole, they present this story. And, only one time in all these times did somebody even believe that story. But all it takes is one time. So eventually, listen, they had to get 750 inmates out of jail. They were paroled each week. Like that's how overcrowding our prisons were at the time.
they need to build the bigger.
So
prison.
every time Kenneth McDuff's file, it just really didn't come across. So this motherfucker got out. This guy named Chris Mealy, and I feels like his name needs to be said. He is the one that was the deciding vote to parole Kenneth McDuff.
Well, he needs.
And then you know what he says after everything? He goes, well, I'm human
Are you?
and I make mistakes and I wish I could take it back.
Oh, I'm sorry. But you can't. So why don't you go pray about it?
So 88 inmates that were on death row were commuted to life at this time. 88. Death row went to life. 20 murderers got put out on the street. Got put back out on the street.
That's a good safe.
So McNamara, we know that because Sheriff Parnell and his brother was Mike. And then there was Sheriff Larry Pamphlet. They were basically like the White Earp of that time and this time. Tombstone. Like they came in and they are true police, like true police, caring investigative police, right? They knew what Kenneth McDuff
we need
was
to get
capable
him
of.
on here to talk about this. I cannot wait.
So look at the inside of my book. Hold on. I did this book for my book club. I have a crime and wine book club. Who is that signed by?
Parnell McNamara.
He came to my book club and he told us the story all about Kenneth McDuff and all this bullshit that's happened about him getting out on the street and how he never should.
So you already got the goss.
Yeah.
You got the tea.
But if we can get him in here, we'll definitely do a part 2 to this.
Oh, for sure.
So McNamara said, he will kill again. I don't care if it's 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months. He will kill again. And come to find out, it took 3 days for Kenneth McDuff to kill somebody. 3 freaking days.
Wow. He was real thirsty for some blood.
Already back in jail within months because of a terroristic threat. He was known to be pretty racist, or he'd make a lot of racist comments. And so there are these teenagers in Rosebud hanging out, minding their business. He chased one down an alley with a knife, threatened to kill him, and went to jail because that was a terroristic threat, and then was paroled and free to kill again.
What?
The luckiest man alive.
Why does he keep getting parole?
And you know what? I listened to one podcast and they were up north somewhere and they were like, Texas justice system. And I was, and I hate it because it makes us look, it made us look really bad. Here is the crazy part too. So there was this project called the RIO, Reintegration of Offenders Project. I mean, okay, so they wanted people who got paroled and out of jail to have a chance at a good life. So they gave them scholarships to go to college and to live in dorms or grants, not scholarships, grants. Nice. So Kenneth McDuff went to TSTC, also known as Texas State Technical College. He had a 3.3 GPA. He graduated. He finished. He was a good student. He was smart. He had like average intelligence. He wasn't like a genius or anything. But when he was out, prostitutes started going missing.
Oh, I wonder why. Did broomsticks go missing as well?
No, he never found. You know that broomstick was never found.
He never found any more broomsticks.
Never
to do anything
did.
With. Okay, well,
there was never any like mutual sex going on. He would hire prostitutes, and he would hire them for what it's called around the world. He would pay them for around the world.
I don't.
So every hole.
Can you describe that?
Every hole he had to penetrate.
Okay, so that would be the mouth hole, the vagina hole, and the butt hole. I just wanted to make sure I knew what.
And so when he paid them, this is what they're agreeing to. But and that's fine, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I guess they're like, okay, let's do this.
But
game.
he was a sadist, so he could only enjoy it if they were crying. And hurt and screaming. Real ugly about it. So, and then he would only go after the prostitutes who were just kind of smaller and weaker. So have you ever heard of the Cut here in Waco?
No. Ugh. I'm too bougie for that.
Oh, okay. Well, the Cut
with my station wagon
is on Highway 77.
Oh, I'm definitely too bougie for that highway.
Well, I lived in Lacey Lakeview because I graduated from Conley. AF. And every time we got on Interstate 35, we would go down 77 and we got on I-35. Or you can get on Waco Drive that way.
Okay. All right.
So
well, you live all the way like
shack.
down and, you know how far we live from each other.
Yeah, we're real far.
Driving like.
In Waco terms, it's like 20 minutes.
I mean, but it really feels like 4 hours.
So That's where he hung out. And still to this day, you'll see prostitutes like walking on 77. There's this place called the Chicken Shack. That's where they used to hang out. There's this hotel. Like it's not great, right? Now it's actually better with gentrification and Chip and Joanna. But it's used to be a really bad place.
Okay. Can I just tell you one more story and then I will stop with my stories?
Go. Ted Bundy took you there.
No.
The cut.
No. This is today what happened. Today happened.
Okay.
This today happened. I was going to Colleen. I was on whatever. And there was how many homeless people are here in Waco? Like I see one every now and then on the corner of a stoplight. I'm going to show you how this person, obviously I took a picture, which is real bad, but they were like, I thought they were dead at first. And I was like, I'm going to have to save a life, but I can't because I'm going to an interview. So I can't get out of the car right now. They were like eagles, like spread eagle. They're
on the road?
They're on like the corner, like, where they would stand to collect
money.
Yeah. Give me some change. Laying down with like a vodka bottle and a Gatorade bottle and like emptied to go food containers on it. I mean, it was really sad, but
he was just passed out.
He was passed out, but his legs were splayed open and I think it was a girl and she was wearing this like,
you're just calling her his?
Scottish outfit or something, like some dress thing, but the skirt was a kilt and the skirt was up over,
and you saw her
it
undies
was up over her body, and so everything was like it was
you saw it all. Is that a vagina or is that a penis?
I thought it was a vagina and I didn't know what to do.
Like
and I had
stuff you see
Vegas. But you don't know. And so listen, at that point I was like,
it's normal and clean. I'm just gonna mind my business.
First of all, I was like, is she breathing? I felt like it was a she. So I was like, are you breathing? I saw her. She was breathing because I'm first of all, I thought I'm like, she's been raped. She's been thrown there and she's been left for dead. And like, I'm going to be the first one driving up on this crime scene. And I was like going to investigate. I was investigative Discovery Channel, whatever.
Oh, do you just put two stations together?
Guess what I did? I just drove off.
You just prayed about it.
She gone.
You just prayed about it.
I just prayed about it.
She was just passed out and the wind blew
like,
her.
Hell, I just had a great old night and I'm just tired. I'm taking a nap.
Maybe that was her that was her advertising. That was her ruse. Like she was going to show her vag and she probably had a lot of money.
Listen, her head was shaved, but some other things weren't. And I would take time.
Oh my goodness.
So anyways, I digress. That's the last time. But
I think the podcast is over.
That was such
I think we just got disconnected.
I can't. Because listen, I'm trying to go to an interview and all I can see is
Did you tell them about that in the interview?
Hairy vagina. This like situation. No, I didn't tell him because I was like, what do I say? I saw this naked homeless person on the ground with their legs open and I can't even focus right now. No, I had to just, I don't know. Too bad I didn't have any.
Yeah, that's Leslie. She's there every morning. The kids talk about her. We write our journals about her.
I was like, why isn't somebody calling like the cops to just be like, or whoever? Okay, if I was not going anywhere, what would you do in the situation?
I would just probably take a picture and keep going.
I felt like I was driving up on a murder scene.
No.
But it wasn't a murder scene at all.
No.
I know. So
she was just passed out.
I just had to tell that and I just thought about it and now I don't even know where we are in your story, but that's what this podcast is. That's what this podcast is.
So listen or don't.
But you probably should because guess what? It's going to be
what are you going to talk about?
Great.
So he's out, right? And I was telling you about the cut because that's where he likes to hang out. It's where the prostitutes are. It's where the drugs are. And it's actually where a lot of black people are. So he was supposed to be real racist, but he hung out like in the hood all the time. He even hired black prostitutes a lot. So By October, he had found a prostitute, put her in his, hired her, put her in his truck, and there was a Waco PD roadblock on Faulkner Lane. So that's right there on the cut, okay? And the prostitute was tied up in the back of the car.
Oh, wait.
She saw the police, kicked out the window, and when she kicked out the window, the cops saw her and tried to pull over Kenneth McDuff. This actually could have been the end. But he tried to run over the police, ran through. It was nighttime and got on Waco Drive. We know what Waco Drive is. Come to Waco, you will drive on Waco Drive. And it's nighttime, so he turns off his light, goes the opposite way, and he misses the police, right? He turns off of Waco Drive onto a road called Golson Road.
Oh,
guess who lives on Golson Road? Me. All the way down towards the Golson and Chalk Bluff area. He takes her there and kills her.
Oh,
and buries her.
Why would you not? That's a great place to take people and kill them, apparently.
Then he does the same thing with another. But 2 weeks later, picks up another prostitute named Regina. Does the same thing.
Prostitute worker.
A what? Prostitute worker?
I don't know.
Prostitute worker named Regina takes her down Highway 6 towards Marlin to a place called Tawakona Creek and kills her and buries her in shallow graves there.
So how many is this after?
This is 2 prostitutes since he's been out. And remember, the first killing was 3 days. I think about these these deaths every time I drive down Highway 6, towards Marlin. All right. He just takes that exit and dumps her there. All right. But remember, his windshield is broken. So he goes to Daddy McDuff, and Daddy McDuff gives him a new car, and it's a Thunderbird. So in his new car, it's about close to Christmas time, okay? He has a friend named Hank Worley. I mean, I love all these Texas names. People are really going to make fun of us. Poor Hank Worley is cruising around downtown Austin. So if you haven't noticed already, Kenneth McDuff likes to hit it and drive. He's picked up people and killed people in Fort Worth. Now he's going southbound 35, okay? And he's driving near the UT campus. So he's scoping.
No.
Hank doesn't know that he's scoping. Hank thinks they're about to buy some weed and some drugs. Mm-hmm. Okay? So Hank doesn't know that he's scoping, and he passed by a car wash. And I've been to this car wash where they seen a cute little girl named Colleen Reed. She is, she graduated from LSU. She's from Louisiana. She's living in Austin, and she works out at this gym there all the time. She's cleaning her car. He gets out. He parks in the car bay next to her, the car wash bay next to her, and grabs her, puts her in the back of his car, and tells Worley to drive. Well, he burns her with cigarettes and rapes her.
What? Why does he need to burn her with cigarettes? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Then he tells Worley to do the same. Well, Worley is not like Roy. He's a little bit more
so he found
shitty.
another. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a new Roy, basically. But Worley's about this life a little bit more than Roy was.
Oh,
so Worley gladly rapes her too.
Oh.
And then it's McDuff's turn again, and he gets her out of the car, and he wants a blowjob this time.
Of course he does.
And she just knows she's going to die. So I don't know if she's just trying to express it or defend herself, but she bites him. He basically beats her until she stops breathing. Wow. Puts her back in the trunk.
In the trunk.
Trunk. and drops off Worley, and Worley doesn't know what happens. She was in the Army Reserve. She was dedicated to her fitness. She was not a prostitute. He just scoped her out and kidnapped
she
her.
was like fit and like in.
Yeah, but she was just real small.
See, that's good. That's good that I'm 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, you're just inviting them. They're gonna come get your ass.
Oh, hey, I know they're gonna get me. No, listen. I'm too big for these people. That like 6 feet. Hell no, we gone. We gonna pass her up. She's too big.
She don't fit our profile.
No, she can't fit in the trunk.
She ain't gonna fit in the trunk. Mm-mm. Well, sweet little Colleen Reed did, and by February he finds a black prostitute. Remember, he don't like black people.
Damn well,
but he sure will hire these black prostitutes, and he killed Valencia Johnson on TSTC.
Is this the first black person he's killed?
Yeah. So that we know of. He's all over the place.
So he has no like MO or no like.
His MO is weak, like not weak or innocence. Like if you talk, because he hired prostitutes all the time. They talk shit to him, he wouldn't kill them. But like if you showed a little bit of fear, he killed them. But what about? Ted Bundy had a type.
He had a type, yeah. So.
He had a type. No, these were like blonde girls, brunette girls, black girls.
He does not discriminate.
He killed her and dumped her body at the TSTC golf course, which actually just closed down just a couple years ago. The last time she was seen was knocking on McDuff's door. He lived in the Sabine Hall on TSTC campus. So imagine me working at a high school and we take our kids to a tour at TSTC, and I'm not asking about financial aid or scholarships.
What you asking about? What you asking about?
Which is the dorm that Kenneth McDuff lived in?
For sure.
And everybody.
We're gonna go tomorrow. We're gonna go tomorrow.
It's gone.
Oh hell!
It's gone.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So February, right? And then there's another girl. So he had a job. So I'm telling you that Kenneth McDuff looked good all the time. Okay. He always fixed himself up. He always had money and he always drove nice cars. But I didn't told you not one thing about a job. He was just kind of spoiled. But he did work at a Quick Pack for a little bit with the girl named Melissa Ann. And when he kidnapped her, she was pregnant. She was 22. And he drove her car to the Fort Worth Dallas area, dumped her body, and she was later found.
Oh my gosh. So how many people is it now that he's killed after he's been paroled?
So you got Brenda, 1, then you got Regina, 2, then you got Colleen, 3, and now here's Melissa. So that's 4.
Oh my.
The McNamara boys, so there's Parnell. We know Parnell now because he's still our sheriff here in Waco, but he had a brother named Mike who died, I believe, of cancer, and I think it was his little brother. They knew, like, these girls were going missing. They knew it was McDuff. It had McDuff's name written all over it. They even knew the girl in Austin, Colleen, was McDuff. They just needed to prove it. So they were behind the scenes trying to figure out who was the friend that was with him so that they can get that friend, right?
Wow.
Because they know who the type of people that he befriends are weak ones. And so once they get him, he'll sing like a canary. So McDuff, by this time, remember, he's run from the police. These women have gone missing. He killed somebody with Hank Worley. So he leaves town and he goes to Kansas City, Missouri. And now he's living under a name, Richard Fowler. And since he's been gone, Hank has talked to the police. And Hank sings like a canary and tells them everything and shows them everything. But Hank, remember, doesn't know where the body was because he dropped off Hank before he buried the body. So can you imagine being a coworker or watching America's Most Wanted? Because this is what happened. Fox used to put on America's Most Wanted. A guy just watched it and saw Kenneth McDuff on there and said, that looks like my coworker, Richard Fowler. Well, he calls Kansas City police. The fingerprints match, and basically they arrest Kenneth McDuff on his way to work. He had been in Kansas City for a little bit. And it was Parnell McNamara, Mike McNamara, Larry Pamphlet, that was like the Marlin police chief back then. And he goes to trial for only one murder, but they knew they could not let Kenneth McDuff out again. So he gets the death sentence. Dun, dun, dun. What sucks is by this time, it's just the lethal injection.
I wish you would have got the electric chair.
He missed the electric chair twice.
Why did he get so lucky?
All you have to do is create a little bit of reasonable doubt. And they gave him a stay.
Lawyer who did it, yeah.
Yeah, and then they gave him a stay. So he kind of knows it's the end, but he feels so powerful that he was there before and didn't get electrocuted that he's not talking too much. But eventually he does. And he leads them to all of the bodies because they know these girls have gone missing, but they've only found the body of the one that worked at a quick pack store, Melissa, in Dallas. So while on death row, he leads them like within steps. So he tells them, take this exit from the road, walk 40 steps, and here is a body. So that's what they did, and they found Brenda. And that's what they did on Golson Road, right by where I live, and they found Regina. And there was little grave markers. So on the one on Golson Road, there was a stick and a Coke can on the top of the stick, and that was him. Like
that was his Coke can because he liked to stop for the Coke for that first time.
Yes. So I don't know if he went back and visited the graves because he never really truly told his whole story and admitted everything. So,
but he told them where the bodies were?
Yes.
But he didn't. How is that not admitting?
I mean, he did, but he wouldn't. Like Jeffrey Dahmer told everything.
Well,
he
was
did.
a little.
Yeah.
I only watched
felt
that
bad.
movie.
He felt bad for what he did.
Like,
he had a little guilt.
Yeah.
Kenneth McDuff was like, "Oh, this wasn't my problem."
Yeah, this was my problem. It was somebody else. It was John Ray Duffy or whatever the other guy. What was his name?
That was it. Everybody just got confused. That was it. So listen, they found Melissa's body. They found Brenda's body. They found Regina's body, but they still have not found Colleen. And this family who lived in Louisiana has been mourning for their kid for forever, right? It's been years. Finally, Kenneth McDuff says, I'll take you to her body, but I have to go because you're not going to be able to find it.
Bet.
So they tried and they couldn't find it. So guess what? Kenneth McDuff got to go on a field trip.
Oh, I bet he did.
And he took them to where she was buried. They dug a little bit, found some teeth. Then they found some bones, and then they found the string that she was bound with. And that every body that they found was tied up. And that was it. Like, that family finally got to bury their daughter. All the families got to finally bury their daughter. And so on November 17th, 1998, I was a senior at Conley High School, which is like 2 miles from where all this is happening.
Were you into everything at this point?
Listen, my best friend Erica knew more about what was going on than I did. We went to Tawakona Creek because we would back road. We would back road with our Bud Light cans.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
I went to Farm Mill Road, but I wasn't.
So I was visiting. She probably popped my cherry on visiting these places. Thank you, Erica. I didn't really remember that until I was researching this story. So November 17, 1998 was his execution day. They tried to tell him to repent, but he said he didn't believe in God. And he was just like, I can't see myself floating on a cloud and playing a harp. And everybody was like, well, we agree. His last meal was this is what, quote unquote, hamburger that resembled a steak. Here in Texas, we call that a hamburger steak. Okay, so at 6:08 p.m., his team came in, strapped him to a gurney. Parnell McNamara was, of course, in there to watch this happen, along with the broomstick murders, one of the boys' dad. His name was Jack. And McDuff's last words were, "I'm ready to be released. Release me." He is right now buried in Huntsville, which is towards Houston. And all he has is an X on his grave, his inmate number, and the dates 11/17/1998. No one ever picked up his body. So his mama that loved him so much and paid all this money for a lawyer, in the end, never picked his ass up and buried him.
Hell. And she went to the school bus and everything.
She did all the things, but when it was time, she never picked him up. So it's been 32 years by this time, from broomstick murders to when he gets executed, that the dad of the broomstick murders is like, I've been waiting 32 years for this.
Yeah.
Do you remember Governor Ann Richards?
Yeah.
She actually tried to kind of undo some of the bullshit Texas. And so she started this task force where everybody that was on parole, basically you're going to go to jail if you commit another crime. Like, we're not going to. So I think we've been trying to undo Kenneth McDuff's, what he did and how he made us look as a Texas justice system. We've been doing that ever since. So we've been killing all the innocent people. People are all just on death row just to be on death row.
Well, I just still don't know why it's not more of a known, or talked about murderer.
Maybe it will be now. There's only 2 books, Bad Boy, Rosebud.
Okay, well, you know how many books I read? Listen.
None.
Let me just tell you, I bought a book called Procrastination, how to not procrastinate. And guess what? I procrastinated and I didn't even read it.
That helped your life.
I know. So it's depressing.
Well, Gary Laverne put out this great book. But there's not really a story behind them. It's just like this podcast was, chunks of information, things that happen. And then at the end, it all gets put together. And I think it just doesn't tell a good story. And it makes you scared. When you go to jail, when people go get sentenced to death, you want them to get put to death. What's crazy about him, when he was finally put to death, there were no picketers. It's like abortion day and there's no abortion picketers. Well, death penalty day, there's always picketers and anti-death penalty people.
Yeah. And
there was one person.
Was it just not talked about?
Because no, people were like, he needs to die.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
He needs to die. He should have died.
Yeah.
In 1960 something.
I feel like they would be okay. I see.
They were like, this is why we have the death penalty.
Oh yeah, this is
so. Anyways, I really feel like we've been trying to undo that wrong for a long time. So there's Kenneth McDuff.
I mean,
and he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean,
But he's also the luckiest guy ever. How many times? There are so many things that I skipped over that he did while on parole. DWI, didn't go to jail. He was a pure definition of evil, no remorse, and even when he died, he was the victim. He blamed it on his dad.
Sure,
he was dealt a bad life, and he was spoiled.
Wow. Well,
so there's Kenneth McDuff, and that was a long podcast, but
I don't feel like it was that long. I thought it was really good.
I
thought you did such a good job, April.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody out there should think so too, and they should just go give us a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
And they should just click subscribe and follow so you can listen to Caroline next week, because today I had on the strap on.
Yes, she do.
Next week, Caroline.
I'm wearing
got it on.
I can't wait. And okay, you can find us on, oh my gosh, we're everywhere. We're on Twitter. Bloody Happy Hour is our handle. We're on Instagram at Bloody Happy Hour. We're on Facebook at Bloody Happy Hour Podcast. this is what we really want, is not only for you to follow, subscribe, and follow us on all those other things, but we want your emails. We have had an email so far, one whole one, and it was pretty amazing. But any emails that are like creepy stories or just whatever, stories where you've encountered weird things or murders or sinkholes or I don't know, just random things. Email us at what's our bloody happy hour
at gmail.com.
Everything is bloody happy hour.
And this is at Gmail. The email's at Gmail. This is what I want. Waco people, I want to know exactly where her body was found on Golson Road. Just because I live there and I know the store that they met at. So any more things that you can tell us that we'll be able to know here in Waco Town, that is the best. So if you were alive or you chased crime scenes like I do, tell me exactly where it was on Golson Road. I would love to know that. So email me and tell me that.
Send her a pen.
Send me. Drop your pen.
Drop a pen.
Drop a pen.
Drop a pen.
Maybe it's where I live right now.
It could be in her backyard. She'll never know.
I know.
And I think this is how we should end it. Stay aware.
Stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Or DTA. Don't trust anybody. Either or, it's a win-win situation. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.